Hi there. Today we're looking at one of the main features of Starship Virtual Life that allows players to easily model ships and starbases very quickly from the get-go. I won't go into depth with the modeler, but basically every wall and floor snaps to a snap point. So the first thing you do when creating a ship is specify the position of these snap points. Now I'm going to quickly create an outer hull linked between these snap points. The dimensions of the ship are measured in meters, and you can see the XY readout on the right hand side of the screen, showing where the cursor is in relation to the blank canvas. We want players to be able to quickly build any sort of ship from any show, be it Star Trek, Star Wars, Babylon 5, Firefly. There is no real practical limit on the ship size. During development we have built ships many kilometers long with hundreds of decks. To make it easier to visualize, each ship is designed level by level. We've just popped down to the next level and we've elected to show the points of the adjoining hull above. For this level I'm going to make the ship slightly larger, which will result in a nicely sloped hull. Now that we have the hull, we are going to quickly add some internal walls. Our virtual crew members will be scurrying around inside the ship, so it's important we designate areas for them to carry out their tasks, rest, etc. For our next demo, I'm going to load up a plan view of the Star Trek Enterprise D and use that to define the hull of our new ship. Now I've previously scaled the image so that the ship will be accurately sized for the final model, about 600 odd meters long. I have coloured the floors of each of the decks to help show where they are. Here we are stepping down through each of the 42 decks, showing the defined hull and the floor outline for each one. The program now has enough data to change our 2D plan into a 3D model of our ship. You can see in through the hull windows that all of the decks are just large open spaces still. This is because we have yet to add any internal walls, doors or furniture to our ship. Let's go back to deck 9 and add some corridors and rooms. I can get the modeler to help me by assigning predefined snap points if I wish. These will help to keep all the corridors straight and in line. Once the rooms have been defined, they will each be assigned a purpose, such as medical bay, engineering, science research. We can then add ship systems to the design, fusion reactors, warp cores. We can add furniture. We can populate the ship with all of the trappings that you'd expect to see. Here you can see my predefined snap points for corridors. We're just going to start creating rooms, and I'm going to fast forward through this to give us something to look at. I'm just adding a few internal walls now. These are cheaper to build, but don't work as bulkheads in case of a hull breach, like the thicker walls we have here. One of your trade-offs is weight and cost versus strength for the walls. As we zoom out of deck 9, it's quite apparent how massive this accurately scaled Enterprise ship is. This is one of the reasons why we believe that teams of people work on each large starship, pooling their resources to bring monumental ships or even starbases or even space cities to life. So now if we look at our starship, you should be able to see our new internal walls through the windows. And there they are in deck 9. This is the difference between this and other space games. These ships are not just simple graphics but full simulations. We can go into the deck and have a look around. As part of this simulation, it's important for us to try to capture the damage inflicted on the player's ship in the same way that it's done in the TV shows. What we're going to do is we're going to inflict some minor dent damage to the front, maybe from a meteor storm. As we swing around to the front of the ship, you can see that most of the hull plating is still in place and just needs to be hammered out. This is obviously fairly minor damage. To step things up a notch, we will now inflict significantly more damage, sort of like the damage that would be sustained by a collision with another vessel. As you can see, the hull is severely damaged, but still more or less intact. What if we explode a torpedo off the port bow? What would that look like? Here we go. As you can see, it's peeled back the hull plating. Parts of the decking and a number of the internal walls have also been blown out by the explosion. When we step back onto the same deck we were on before, it's now open to the void of space. Risk of such explosive decompression can be mitigated by building a system of internal bulkheads and force fields. It's all down to you, to how well you design your starship. We hope this has whetted your appetite for the starship design portion of Starship VL. Please stay tuned for more information.